Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Across the Pond. This is QJ, Cat's with me, and we are not sure why you are listening to this, but we're happy that you're here.
What do you mean? Everyone wants to listen to this. This is the exciting half of the show. This is where...
I mean, I don't. This is my episode. We're going to talk about my progress with my projects for 2017 so far. It is the middle of the second month, and who knows? You're probably all going to be disappointed in me.
What are
we'll
your
see.
projects? Remind us.
To play a lot of games, to read a lot of books, including comic books, and I even included watching maybe one TV show a month.
Okay.
Or maybe it was a week. I don't really remember.
So, okay, let's clear it up. So you've got a game a month. I remember you saying that. Like, that was a whole thing you wanted to do. And then...
Yes.
What was it? Like either a book or a comic series a week, right?
Yes.
And then I don't remember you saying anything about shows, to be honest. I might have just
I did because
that.
I want... There are shows that people want me to watch that they've suggested to me, and there are animes I want to watch.
Oh,
so
no. Not
I thought
anime.
one show a month, depending how long it is. And I'm going to try and play more games that are longer. I didn't do that this time. I played a couple of short games.
Okay.
So let's start with those.
Yeah, let's jump right into
First game I played this year was a game suggested to me by a random person that I met when I went to a live show in Hollywood last year. It's called Braid.
Okay.
And it's a really popular indie game. Have you heard of Braid?
I have played Braid. I got bored of it, but that's just me.
You know why? That's because it's not that good.
Yeah, it isn't, is it?
No.
Good.
And
I'm glad
it's
you agree.
like extremely hyped in the indie culture. Yeah. Shay calls me an indie darling now because I really like indie games and I have a bunch on my backlog now in Steam.
It's because they're puzzle platformers mostly, and that's like your jam.
Well, yeah, and I love puzzle games. Well, so Braid had a very, very creepy quality to it, and I'm not sure why.
It's art style.
I think it was the music mixed with a very strange character animation, plus the very almost Van Gogh-ish background.
It's the weird,
and that was pretty neat.
Head dudes as well. Like the Goombas in the game are like these little...
The Goombas.
They're like little Goombas, but they got weird human faces. Like...
Yeah, it was all strange. That I didn't mind, because I liked that it was giving me an eerie feel, because the story behind it was very strange.
Yeah.
And... Well, so that was cool, but the gameplay... first of all, the mechanic was really neat. They introduced a new mechanic where you could rewind what you did and go back and fix your mistakes, but it was not only to fix your mistakes, it was so you could like interact with the world around you, and then rewinding it would like change things.
Yeah. And
I'm not really sure how to describe it, but you had to use the rewinding in order to get the puzzle pieces and win each level.
Yeah.
And so the mechanic was really cool, but they made each puzzle really, really difficult.
Yeah.
Like, to the point where I had to use a walkthrough for most of the game, and every time I figured out what the solution was, I was like, how was I supposed to figure that out on my own?
Yep.
Some of these were completely impossible. This game was hard, and for once, it was not because I'm stupid. It was because it just wasn't made very well. Like, puzzles were way too difficult, and you had to get every single puzzle piece in order to achieve the ending.
Mm-hmm.
And there were like 2 I didn't get, and I wasn't even gonna go back and try because a lot of them took a lot of trial and error, and I was just sick of it. So I just ended up getting to the point just before the ending, and then I watched it, and it wasn't even worth it. It was really stupid.
Yeah, I think
So like the story behind it all was kind of lame.
Yeah.
It was worth playing, but it was like, I don't know. I don't see why it was rated so highly. It was a cool new mechanic that I enjoyed learning, and I enjoyed trying it. I just didn't really like it that much. And
yeah, the way I see puzzle games is if a puzzle is like so hard that it isn't satisfying in the end, where you're just like, how was I like that isn't fun to me. Like I think that's why I stopped playing. I just got to the point with that game where I was like, this is no longer fun to work out. This is just frustrating. I will go and play something that's actually fun instead. And
yeah, because I think once you figure out what you're supposed to do in a puzzle, you should be able to do it.
Yeah.
But this was a mix between really difficult puzzle solving and kind of the Mario Maker aesthetic, where you have to like jump or hit something at the exact perfect millisecond, or your entire like 20-minute build up to the end of the puzzle you have to like redo.
Yeah.
And I'm just it's not fun.
Yeah, I had the same problem.
So, yeah, it was it was a cool new mechanic that they brought into the gaming world, I guess, that I would have liked to use more, but the game they made to go along with it just wasn't that fun.
Yep.
Anyway, another game I played Box Boy, which is just a little downloadable game on the 3DS. Might be a DS game. I'm not sure how old it is because it's just a little two-dimensional
It's
puzzle game where you
3DS, isn't it? So it's fairly recent.
yeah, I guess. You play just as this little box with legs and a face, and he can make other boxes like appear out of him, and he can climb on those boxes or use those boxes to jump over things and onto things, and he has to like collect little crowns and then get through the doors at the end. And he's so cute. He's a little box boy. His name is QB. And if you stand still for a long time, he like falls asleep or he does a
Aw.
little dance. And yeah, it's really fun. And it's the cutest little puzzle game.
Oh, that's cool.
You just hop along on boxes, and it was actually quite challenging at some points. There were a couple times when I was just stare at the screen and try every option. But it wasn't the difficulty that made it boring. It was the difficulty that was like I'm like so motivated to solve this puzzle right now.
Yeah.
And when I did, it was extremely satisfying.
Okay.
So Box Boy is adorable. I don't know if I'm going to play Box Boy 2 because I've heard that it's pretty much the exact same thing.
Okay.
But yeah, Box Boy was really fun. Put quite a few hours into that one. Third game I played was suggested to me by one of our commenters. I played Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons.
Yay.
Played that in one night
Nice.
on the Xbox One because I wanted to have the actual controllers in my hands and be able to use both joysticks because you use both joysticks to control both brothers
Yeah.
at the same time. And the story, I'm going to like spoil the whole ending
Oh,
for this
no.
game
I have
because
this game on
it's
Steam.
part of
Oh.
why I liked.
Oh well. Okay, fine.
Oh,
Yeah.
do you not want me to spoil
Nah,
it?
you can spoil it. Don't worry. I probably won't play it for like a year. So by the time I do, I'll have forgotten anyways or whatever.
So this game was similar to Braid in that it introduced a new gaming mechanic where you had to control two characters at the same time,
Yeah.
and there were things you had to like pick up stuff and like move it together and navigate things through mazes or do things like hop on each other's shoulders to climb or like move like big machinery together to like, you know, kill an enemy, something like that. So it was pretty neat. This game was really, really, really easy, which was a little bit disappointing because I felt like it wasn't challenging like at all. And there were points in the game where actually most of the game was just moving the brothers from point A to point B.
Okay.
It was like, okay, I got to get from this cliff to this next field to the next part of the game. So I just walk, and they
Yeah.
walk so slowly, especially if they're carrying something. And I'm like,
Ah.
this is like a whole minute of the game, and I'm just like walking, and I'm not jumping over anything or moving around anything. I'm just like walking, or like the next part of the game would be to pick something up and move it around a maze, and I'm like, okay, this is cool because I have to use my brain a little bit, but they still move so slowly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, game! Ah! But if they didn't move slowly, the game would be even shorter.
Yeah.
And it was already quite a short game. And for the story that it was perfectly satisfying for its length.
Right.
Because, you know, it started out with the boys their father is sick and they have to travel across the land to go get medicine. And they, you know, encounter a few bosses along the way. And they try and make it a little similar to a JRPG where you have to interact with people in order to figure out where you're going. But a lot of the people that you interacted with like wouldn't even say anything, or you would just show them your map and they would point you in the right direction, which you didn't need because the older brother always knew where to go in the first place. So it was a pretty fun game even if it wasn't challenging at all, because every puzzle I figured out in about 2 seconds. Some of them were quite ridiculous to watch. Like there was this one where you had a rope tied between the two brothers' waists, and they had to swing from each other's waists to these like branches and ledges like across a really tall building. And I'm like, if they were doing that in real life, they would like get their stomachs ripped out. Like they can't hold each other's weight. So, and they would be able to like hold onto a ledge on a cliff and then jump directly above them like 6 feet to the next ledge. just by like boop hopping.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are these like grasshoppers? So it was quite funny to watch.
Yeah.
There were a lot of really cool levels because they're sort of in like a fantasy world. There was a level where I had to go through giant country
Yeah.
where these giants just had this big war, and so there were dead ones lying around everywhere and rivers of blood. This was kind of a dark game.
Yeah.
There was a point where I had to stop someone from hanging themselves because he had just like buried his family. And I was like, God, jeez. But yeah, I had to walk through giant country and like move like people's dead arms out of the way, and like I had to like shoot one guy in the head so that he would fall over and I could use him as a bridge.
Wow.
And it was really bizarre, but it was really cool looking.
Okay, that's cool.
And then you get to the end of this journey, and the big brother gets stabbed by a spider lady and dies, and the little brother's like, ah! And the little brother has to bury him, and he takes like 30 minutes to bury him because when I'm moving him from one pile of dirt to another, he's like dragging his feet, and I'm like, ah! That's you know that's supposed to be like, well, you're supposed to be emotionally invested in what's going on with these characters.
Yeah.
And so you're supposed to feel just how sad he is while you're moving slowly, but I don't feel it.
Okay.
Because these characters are kind of hard to get emotionally attached to because they remind me so much of just The Sims. Because their drawings aren't very, or the way their faces are animated are kind of goofy.
Yeah.
And they do that thing in this game where they don't have text boxes when they talk. It's just like, whoa. Yeah.
Okay.
Like foreign language. So, and I'm like, I feel like I'm playing The Sims right now, but with a little bit of adventure.
Oh, cute.
And then anyway, then the boy goes back home with the medicine, and you realize he has to do things that he could only do before with his older brother, and now he has to do them on his own.
Right.
Like he couldn't swim before without getting on his brother's shoulders, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And so you sort of have to make the little brother do that on his own, but it's implying that he now has his dead brother's like strength and like guidance with him. So that's kind of neat.
That's cool.
I don't know. It was a pretty cool game, and it was pretty short. It was a nice little short story. If it had been longer, it probably would not have been as good because it was like it was just as good for its length. It was like just worth it. There were a couple little achievements. I don't want to call them side quests because I don't think they were long enough for that.
Yeah.
But I looked on the little Xbox One like menu, and there were like 8 or 9 little achievements you could do. Like you had to like pick up these bunny rabbits and make them play together, or like sit on all these there was like a bench in every level that you had to sit on and like look off into the distance.
Yeah.
And I think if those achievements had been required, this game would have been a lot more fun and a lot more it would have motivated me to like be more excited to play it because I like all those little side quests.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think I liked it enough to go back and play it and do the side quests. But I wish they had been required in the first place.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so that was cool. That was a cool game. And those are the games I played so far this year.
Good. Interesting.
Next, I'm going to talk about a couple shows I watched. The first one was one I was really, really excited for like a year. I watched season 1 of Series of Unfortunate Events, which was a book series that I adored when I was a child, and I didn't like as much when I was a teenager, and then I loved again when I was an adult, because I didn't get it when I was a teenager. I didn't get that it was dark satire, and it's just beautiful. I love the way it's written. It's so hilarious, and Netflix did a fantastic job of building this show and adapting this story, and they got the tone right, and the humor was spot on. The acting was really, really good, albeit it was a bit awkward, because I feel like they almost invented a new acting style for like the type of tone they were going for with this show. And so at times it could be perceived as bad acting, but I don't think it was. I think they're just trying to put a very specific type of like mood or demeanor in these characters, and it's kind of hard to get across. So at times it felt a little awkward, but it wasn't off-putting for me. Now, I know you watched like half an hour of the first episode and you didn't like it. And I can absolutely understand why someone wouldn't like enjoy the tone of this show, because it's not for everybody. I read this one Twitter post that someone said that A Series of Unfortunate Events was like Wes Anderson characters being forced to go live in a Tim Burton world. And I thought that was perfectly spot on. The like directing and cinematography is beautiful.
Yep, I can
They
give you that. Like the
yeah.
visual aesthetics is pretty great. Like it all has this really distinct look to it. Like that was impressive to me. Like I enjoyed that whole element to it. Um,
Yeah.
I just hated the dialogue. I really hated the dialogue.
Yeah. And that's funny because when I um read these books when I was a teenager, I couldn't stand the dialogue either. Every time Lemony Snicket was like, this word is a word which means blah blah blah, and I'm gonna go on about it for an entire page. And I was like, I hate you! I don't want a dictionary reference.
I don't.
But
I
you know,
don't.
then I realized that that's just part of the book style. And um
Yeah.
oh, what is the guy's name that plays Lemony Snicket? Um
Patrick Warburton. I know that because he's also in the B movie.
yes. Yeah. We can talk about that later. Um Patrick Warburton does a marvelous job at playing Lemony Snicket. Every time he comes up and says, like, this is a phrase which means this, or if you've ever been in a situation like the Baudelaires where you had to blah blah blah, you might have done this. Like, I love his narration. I didn't think he was going to be as involved in this show
Yeah.
as he is in like the actual narration of the books. But he does a great job. He's practically a main character. One of the issues I have with it is Sonny is not enough of a character. Um,
Yeah.
because they talk about, you know, the stories about the three Baudelaire children, and you got Violet and Klaus doing their thing. Um, and I think that's the only thing that the stupid Jim Carrey movie did better is they made Sonny actually like important,
Yeah.
and they gave her a few lines which were subtitled, of course, but she was funny, she was involved, she actually like, you know, figured things out on her own and did her own. She was a character, and
Yeah.
in this Netflix series, they're not making her enough of a character. She's just a thing that they
Dumb
carry
baby
around,
that bites things.
and she
That's
chews on
her.
things every now and then.
That's her character. She has teeth.
So that's
Yay, because that's not awkward
she
every
does
time
have
they
teeth.
mention it. Uh, every character felt like they weren't human. They were just like a robot that was just like beep boop. I have this. I am. I am the evil guy. I see generic evil things, and then he'll say an evil thing, and then the thing that broke it for me, that was the point where I was like, I'm gonna stop watching this immediately because it was already annoying me. The Lemony
Yeah,
Snicket kept saying like, "Oh, the Baudelaire's lives are so difficult. Oh, everything sucks for them." I'm like, okay, show me, don't tell me. Like, I get that they do it in the book and that's
yeah.
fine, but like, if you want to,
It's not your
yeah,
style.
it's just not my style. It annoyed me. But the point that really just went, okay, I'm turning this off, was when they first introduced Count Olaf, and he's he's barely even done anything yet, and it zooms out to Lemony Snicket going, "Count Olaf, what a bad guy. He's the villain." And I'm like, oh, I just can't. I'm not watching any more of this. I was out. I was like, I can't have you telling me that someone's a bad guy. It really just, I can't even remember what the dialogue
That's a
was, but it
shame
was,
that you like that
oh,
you didn't even get a chance to see Neil Patrick Harris in his role, because he does a fantastic job in this role. Like the perfect amount of like scary and evil and the perfect amount of funny, because Neil Patrick Harris is hilarious.
right.
And I always used to think that making Count Olaf funny like wouldn't make him the character he was supposed to
Yeah,
be, but he does it in the perfect way. I don't even know how.
fair
He's
enough.
a genius actor. He's
Yeah,
he's
I
great.
wish I could enjoy that without having to put up with everything I hated about what I saw. Because I feel like there are elements of
That's
that show
okay.
that I would totally enjoy, but I just can't. I can't force my. I just couldn't do it. I was just like, no, I can't handle this. I'm out.
Yeah.
Goodbye. I see what you've done here, and I respect the faithfulness to the books. I respect what they've done, but at the same time, I hate it. Goodbye. That was my whole take on what
Yeah.
I saw.
That's
I can
fine.
see, I get why people enjoyed it, but it just completely was off-putting to me. So
Yeah.
I was
But
out.
I also see a lot of ways in I also see all those ways in which why people might not enjoy it. And because of that, I really appreciate that
Yeah,
Netflix is taking
yeah,
risks with its original series,
yeah,
because it no longer has to appeal to Hollywood and commercials
yeah.
and ratings. It's just like, we've sold this show, so let's make it the way we want to make it.
Well, yeah,
And it's weird and it's different, and I love that they're just like, let's take this and make it how it should be.
yeah. I mean, they've
And
always done
not
that.
only did they do that, um,
Yeah.
but because I haven't seen that many Netflix originals, so you probably know about this a little more than me.
Well, I was just gonna use BoJack Horseman as an example. Like that show is so
Oh yeah,
non-traditional that it's like, what is this?
That show's freaking
Yeah.
amazing. We should. Yeah, I really want season 4 to come out,
Oh,
and
I'm
then
excited.
I can talk about that with my shows because I've I'm I've definitely been rewatching that in pieces.
Yeah.
Um, but another thing I wanted to say about this series is when they started making this show, not only did they include everything from the books, which to a point that was to a
Yeah.
fault, because there were a lot of things where they took the dialogue from the books and put it straight onto the screen. And I'm like, that line was better in text and kind of awkward in vocal. It was like this
Yeah.
whole conversation was good when it was in the book, but it's kind of weird hearing it and seeing it. Like it's a little too long. So like
Yeah.
I appreciate it, but there were points where they could have altered it and I would have been fine. But they also like added things to the whole mystery because, this entire series is this big mystery of what's
Right.
going on in the Baudelaires' lives, and where they're going to go next and what's happening while they're there. And there's a lot of background stuff that they added with their parents and their parents' lives before the fire. And, the involvement of all their temporary guardians with this like big secret organization and what Count Olaf, how he is involved with that from like before the Baudelaires were born. And all of that either wasn't in the books or it was just very, very vaguely implied to the point where readers were like guessing things and like coming up with their own theories. And so they added a lot of that stuff to the TV series. And I just love it. I love all the stuff that they're adding and mixing up. Because I believe Daniel Handler, who is what Lemony Snicket's real name, the author, I believe he is like a producer on the show. So
Okay.
it's almost like he took what he wrote and is like maybe taking a lot of stuff that was in his head at the time and kind of like rewriting the story
Okay.
and like mixing it up and making it in a new way. And I feel like I'm rereading these books just with like extra chapters in them. Or like, little epilogues at the end where it's like
Yeah.
I'm getting new material.
Okay.
Like
That's cool.
it's like when a book is re-released and it's like this is the unedited version and I'm like, "Oh, this is so exciting. I get new stuff."
Or like when
So,
there's the Suicide
I'm really
Squad
excited for season
Blu-ray
2.
comes out, and there's the extended Suicide Squad with extra scenes.
You mean the scenes that were supposed to be there in the first place that might have made it a good film?
Yes.
Another little show I watched was I believe 12 episode anime
Oh,
and it's
no.
called Sweetness and Lightning.
Oh, not anime.
Shut up. No, you can shut up.
Were there any Rasengans? Did they do any jitsus?
What the hell was that?
Do you not even watch anime, bro? Do you not know what a Rasengan is?
No, I've watched like 4 animes my whole life. Why don't you get off my back? I watch a TV show if I think it's gonna be good. Doesn't matter if it's an anime or not.
See, I do the same, but I know it's not gonna be good if it's an anime.
Can you leave and I'll do the rest of this episode by myself?
Alright, fine. I'll shut up. Talk about your anime. Go on. Tell me all about
Okay.
the jitsus and the.
It is called. This show is called Sweetness and Lightning. It was about 12 episodes, and this was the first anime I watched full in Japanese with English subtitles. And normally I like it better when it's translated into English, but I couldn't find this anime anywhere else in English. Our friend Josh suggested it to me.
Yeah.
And the website he gave me, he's like, yeah, everything on there is pretty much in Japanese. And I was like, oh, well, I guess if I want to start watching anime, I should just get used to that. And I really, really enjoyed it. I loved watching it in its original language with the subtitles. And especially here and there when there's like jokes or phrases that you can tell are not translated well into English. And I kind of have to like figure out what's going on between the characters and their dialogue on my own. And it kind of makes me want to like look everything up and like learn a little bit about the language and the culture to be like, oh, that's interesting that this means that instead of this, and
so you're
that's what's going on.
Learn Japanese on Rosetta Stone. Is that what you're gonna do?
No, I'm learning German on Duolingo. So just shut up for a little bit. Anyway, Sweetness and Lightning is about a father and his daughter. She's about 5 years old, and just before the show starts, they recently lost her mom. And so they're living on their own and eating nothing but like pre-cooked meals, and he works and she goes to daycare, and she just sits in front of the TV and eats, her microwave meals all day. And he's just struggling to take care of her. And then 'cause he's a high school teacher, and one of his students runs a restaurant with her mom.
Okay.
And I can't exactly remember how. I think it's by happenstance that he runs into her restaurant. But they become sort of friends. Like he becomes friends with his student, and she teaches him how to cook. And every day, this father and daughter go to her restaurant and they learn to cook new meals, and they bond over this. And it's sort of like he wants to learn how to be a better father by actually cooking her real food. And it gets to the point where she doesn't even like going to restaurants because she doesn't like having her food cooked for her, because she loves being able to make her own food, and it's this whole experience.
That's
And
cute.
they become like a little family throughout this. And I love that there's no romance between the teacher and his student, which I appreciate. It's just, and I'm not really sure what her motivation is for wanting him to come over and like teach him how to cook. I think she is just a little bit lonely and like wants to feel like she's helping him out.
Okay.
Um, because for some reason her mom is never there in the restaurant till like the end of the series. And the show is very much just like a little cooking show, because they describe what they're making as they're making it. But then in the middle of the show, there'll be something like they have a memory about the girl's mom and everyone starts crying. Or like there's an episode where the dad is sick and the daughter like goes outside by herself to go find him medicine. And then he gets all mad because he was worried about her. And then they have this big, sad, feelsy moment. And there's like an episode where she has a sleepover at school and they like get to make snacks. And it's just so cute. This show is so, so cute. The daughter's adorable. And I love the relationship development between her and her father, and them and their, cooking friend. And it's a super cute show. I'd absolutely watch it again. And it made me so hungry every episode I was watching it. Because, oh my gosh, anime food is so delicious looking. So I always had to make lunch first before I sat down and watched it, because I was like, food, I want sushi now, and I want rice, and I want dumplings, and I want meat, and I want all the food. And yeah, I think the title was a play on words with sweetness and light.
Right.
But I've never really heard that phrase before. So, yeah.
Cool.
It was a super adorable show.
Cool.
I loved it. My first full Japanese anime, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who likes slice of life anime. It's not like one of those action things. It's just, a father and daughter trying to get by, and then they learn how to cook.
Oh wait, so there aren't any
And
ninjas?
there might have been. Obviously, I wouldn't have seen them.
Do the Titans attack at any point? I need to know about the Titans. QJ, what about?
Anyway, it's a slice of life anime, and it's super cute. And the father figures out that the girl hates green peppers, and they have to pick green peppers out of all their food. And I wanted to say they do a really good job at portraying what it's like to be a 5-year-old girl, because it made me kind of remember how it felt to be a kid, because there were like things that she was going through, like, and emotions that she was feeling when she was like having a fight with another preschool friend, or when she was trying to communicate her feelings but didn't know how because she's only 5 years old. And it like brought me back to remembering how I felt when I was that age, and like adults didn't understand me. And I was like, this show's actually doing a really good job at portraying that. So I appreciate that.
Wow, that's cool.
Cute show. Loved it. Moving on. A couple comic book series that I read I keep wanting to say this year or this month, but so far this year, I guess it's been a month and a half. I reread the first 2 volumes of Wayward and then read volume 3. And I know you bought the first volume of
Is
this
that
series, and you probably still haven't even read it
no?
yet.
I've read it. I remember it being kind of
Okay.
okay and having no motivation to keep going with it. Is that the one where like it's in Japan and all the Japanese folklore's real?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. No, I wasn't that into it. Like I don't know why.
Okay. That's all right. So this comic was like it's kind of actiony, but it has a lot of really thick character buildup, which I really like because I thought at first it was going to be kind of a slice of life anime comic book because
Yeah.
it got so deep into like how the characters felt and what they were like going through mentally.
Hmm.
But I really appreciate that kind of character buildup. And then all of a sudden, each like character has like friggin' weird mystical powers, and then they suddenly have to go fight yokai. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like so now we're in an action series. Um, but that's okay because it's not like just like plain dumb simple action. You've got like good characters that I actually care
Yeah.
about going on here. I really appreciate just the authenticity of how they portrayed Japan.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't feel like it was really cartoony. I felt like this was actually taking place in real Japan.
Okay, that's cool.
Obviously real folkloric Japan because there's monsters and there's yokai and there's people with powers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought the artwork is like bright and colorful, but like not like neon bright and colorful. It's like soft at the same time. I mean, I'm not an artist, so I'm really bad at describing different pencil work and different ink
Yeah.
work. But I thought it was lovely to look at.
Hmm.
I love where the story goes. It gets more actiony as you go on, and it sort of gets into like I think it's Japanese folklore about like these new teenagers with their powers being like the new gods of Japan and like they're the new like guardians of all the mystical side of the country. I don't really know. It's really hard to describe because I didn't really understand what was going on near the end, except that I was having a lot of fun. So, Wayward. I don't feel like I described it very well, but I feel like it's a very well written
Okay.
comic. I kind of felt like I was reading like not an anime because like it was better than that. It was like
Whoa, better than anime? How can you get
yeah,
any
well it
better
was
than anime?
I felt like it was more I felt like it was deeper than that. Like it could have been a whole movie with how deep the setup was
Okay.
and how the characters were. Man, see this is why I take notes. I don't know. Wayward is fantastic. Realistic Japan and really cool characters and really cool to look at.
Cool.
There'll probably be a volume 4 at some point, but that was me rereading up to volume 3. Another comic series I read, this is going to be the last thing I talk about, is called Red Sonja by Gail Simone. Now, this is
heard
an
of
older
this.
character.
I haven't read it.
Yeah, this is an older character that has been revamped.
Yeah.
She was a character back when with really old comic books that people would read, like Conan the Barbarian and Beowulf and all this other really old stuff. And Red Sonja would pop up in the Barbarian pile. And it's like, oh, okay, she's a girl and she's got red hair and she's super, super badass. Like, she's awesome.
Yeah.
She's just like, she's a really, really good fighter. She's a warrior. And, she had a really tough background because, like, her family was killed when she was just 12 years old. And she's a hunter and she's got all these really cool skills. And she, like, doesn't care about anyone but herself. But yet she's got a soft side under her tough exterior where people will, like, meet her and be like, oh, like, I'm trapped under, like, slavery and I need someone's help. And she's like, all right, fine, I'll do it. And she's got a soft spot for like slavery and like
Right.
fighting for what she believes is right. And like sometimes she'll be off on a journey and like she's just like looking out for what she wants.
Cool.
She like is looking for food and shelter and she's just like, man, I haven't had sex in so long. And I volume 3 is my favorite because it's this whole story about her trying to um go around the world to gather these widely renowned entertainers for this one pharaoh's birthday.
Yeah.
And because he said that if she does this, he will free all of his slaves after he dies. And so because she hates slavery, she's going across the world and being like, you are coming with me and you have no say about it. And but then she'll be like, actually it's for a good cause. And she ends up like kind of freeing people from their bonds as she does this. Like she takes some kid from his like slaver, and she like rescues a woman from prostitution, and like takes people away from like kind of their horrible situations.
Yeah.
And then she gets there and realizes this guy's totally going against his word and he's not gonna like free his slaves at all. And so she's just like, fine, I'm gonna beat you up. And she does.
I love the comic book. I'm gonna beat you up then solution. It's like my favorite thing.
Pretty much. Yeah. It goes so much deeper than that. It really gets you in the feels. And
Okay, that's cool.
she's just such a cool character. And yeah, one of the stories is her having to like defend this like ancient library from people who want to like, I think they want to tear it down. I can't totally remember, but she's always just like, why should I have to defend books? Books are stupid. And these like nuns that are defending it are like, actually they're really important. They're important for all these reasons. And she's like, well, I don't even know how to read. And then they teach her how to read, and they read like all these little kid stories together, and it's super cute because she's like this crazy warrior who just like can like kill 5 people in 10 minutes, and she's like, read me Winnie the Pooh again. I love it. And it's adorable. So yeah,
Cool.
Red Sonja is amazing. She's got a really awesome background. She's a really cool fighter, and she's really relatable. I mean, I don't know how relatable she is. I'm not a warrior or anything. I'm definitely not as cool as she is. But you get her. Like
Okay, maybe I'll pick
you
that
get
up
to
then.
see what's going on in her head,
Maybe I'll
and
have a look.
like really really feel for her for what's happened in her past, and you love her. Gail Simone does a wonderful job writing her character. I really think you would like the series.
Okay, that's cool.
So that's what I've done so far this year. I played 3 short games, watched a couple TV
Awesome.
shows, and read a few comic series.
Awesome.
I know you read some comics this year. Did you want
Oh man,
to bring up any of your favorites?
I have a list here. I read the first volume of Gwenpool, which oh man, I loved it because Gwenpool is such a great character.
Yeah.
In that basically she was taken from the real world and put in the Marvel universe, and just knows the Marvel universe because in her world it's the comic books, and she's basically worked out that if she is a comic book character, and the more she acts like a comic book character, the less likely things are to go bad for her. So she's basically lucking her way through things by complete fluke, by being like,
That actually sounds really interesting.
it's really cool.
That's like a
It's so dumb.
brand new type of story.
Because it's just like, she's just like, if I have a costume and act like a superhero, then I'll have a comic run about me, and therefore I'll do well. It's really
That reminds me of Miss Marvel a little bit, where she's like, hey, I suddenly have powers. I should morph into a costume. And, oh, hey, superheroes punch things. Let's make my fist gigantic.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that, but if Miss Marvel knew there's a point where, like, she's with Doctor Strange, and he sees into her universe, and he's like, huh, Benedict Cumberbatch, I can see that. And it's like, this is so meta.
Oh.
It's so meta, and I love it. So I'd recommend everyone pick up Gwen. It's so funny, and it has 2 different art styles. One of them is kind of not that good, but one of them is like this really cutesy, colorful art style that just is great.
Mhm.
And I like it. I thought it was really good. I read I Hate Fairyland Volume 2, which I thought was great. Squirrel Girl Volume 4, Squirrel Girl Volume 4 has like one separate issue that doesn't really tie into the rest of the story, that just teaches you computer science basics. Like, it teaches you how to count in binary on your fingers, and it's like, this is so...
Is that like Squirrel Girl and her roommate just in class?
No,
like, are you in class with them?
It's like a weird dream sequence. It's odd, but it's really funny. Like, I enjoyed it.
So it's comic books being educational.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh. I don't think I finished volume 3.
You should. Oh yeah, wait.
Because
it was
being all time travel-y, and I was like, I'm so sick of time travel.
Aw.
Anyway.
I quite liked the time travel in that volume, but you know. Then I got Hellcat Volume 2. I love Hellcat. Patsy Walker Hellcat is like my favorite current ongoing
Oh
Marvel
yeah,
series, I think. Like,
yeah. You got me Hellcat Volume 1 for Christmas. I haven't finished reading it yet,
ah,
but I like what I've read
I
so
love it.
far.
I love the art style. I love her character. Just so much of that whole thing is just so lovable and it's great. Um, then I finished. It's quite sad. I finished Howard the Duck, the current run. Chip Zdarsky is left writing Howard the Duck now. There's now 3 volumes. Um,
uh,
although one of them's volume 0, so it's a bit confusing. It ends so beautiful. I can't. The villain that they go with for the final, like the end of it, is so beautifully stupid, and I don't want to spoil it because it's such a dumb surprise.
oh my
On like
god.
a meta level, but it's great, and I would like,
Is it Chip Zdarsky
yeah,
erasing everything?
it is Chip Zdarsky. Way to spoil it. Like he somehow writes himself into the book, but in a really clever
Wow, I
way,
can't believe I got it.
and it's great. Like it's so good. I
You would.
definitely would recommend
That
reading
guy
that.
is such like a major douche.
There's in I think it's Sex Criminals Volume 2, I think. There's a panel where he's like they go out of the story and just one page is just Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky having a conversation, and there's a moment where he just says
Doesn't
something.
he say something like that? Like, yeah, this book and the stupid like duck book to just fuels my cocaine
Yeah,
addiction or
I
something.
think it's along those lines. I think it's heroin, but the idea is still there. It's like my heroin addiction is funded by Duck Comics, which is just
Yep.
I love it. He's writing Star Lord at the moment. I'm excited for the first volume of that to come out because that should be great.
He's writing Star
Yeah,
Lord. Oh,
I know,
nice.
right? It's gonna be so good. Like I'm a fan of that guy's writing. Then Miss
There's
Marvel.
a lot of Marvel comics that I am not caught up on,
Uh,
and I really want to take just like a whole month to just like
yeah,
nothing but library comics.
read some Howard the Duck. It's so good. I know you don't want to, but it's really funny, and I think you'd actually enjoy it. Like, um, then I read Miss Marvel Volume 6, which is great. Like, it's a Civil War 2 tie-in, but because Captain Marvel is so integral to the Civil War 2 storyline, which I haven't read yet, but I will eventually. Um, it
Yay!
ties in with
I love
that.
Captain Marvel.
Um, and it kind of ties into Miss Marvel's relationship with Captain Marvel, and that Civil War time was great. Like I enjoyed it a lot. It felt very human, like all Miss Marvel stories do. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was down to earth. It was
Yeah.
great. And then I'm surprised.
Kelly Sue DeConnick did a really good job at writing Captain Marvel. She also wrote Bitch Planet,
Yeah.
which is a really neat little series. I think it's just got like 2 or 3 volumes out right
Okay.
now.
I keep meaning to
But
look
yeah,
into that.
she
But
is she's great at writing Captain Marvel. I want to read like everything she's done.
fair enough. And then I read Paper Girls Volume 2 this morning because I thought you would have read it by now, but you haven't. So disappointment. It's
No,
pretty good. I enjoyed it.
sorry.
That Paper Girls
Well,
continues to be
yeah.
confusing, and I just want to know where it's going. Like it's every time it answers a question, it asks about 10 more, and you're like, what is
Paper Girls
happening?
is so cute. It's just like here's life in the 50s as a child. Aliens. You're like, what? What?
it's pretty great. Like I love it. But yeah, that's all the comic books I've read this month. I don't have as in-depth
Cool, cool.
opinions as you do or reviews or whatever. I'm
Mm,
casual with my comic books. I don't think if I've done anything
that's
else
cool.
that's worth even mentioning. I played some Skyrim the other day. I went around killing people
Oh, that's on my.
with a big old war axe. It was good times. I think my favorite thing about Skyrim is that if you've already played through once, you can basically do everything without even having to talk to people. Like you can just I was role playing as a
Nice.
deaf character because I was at my girlfriend's flat and she doesn't have speakers set up. So I was just like, I can't hear any of the dialogue. I'm just going to ignore all of the people here and go around killing things. So I just ran around
Nice.
like murdering bandits the whole day. It was great. It was good fun. It's a great game. I recommend it. It's coming to Switch, so no one has an excuse not to play it now, including you.
Yes, I suppose that's true.
So yeah.
Although once we get the Switch, Spiegel's moving out.
Oh,
Um,
oh no, how sad.
yeah, but I'll follow him in a couple weeks. Yeah,
Oh, and next month.
he's moving out a bit earlier than I am.
Oh, okay, so he's
Yeah,
just gonna be gone. Does that mean you won't be able to play Breath of the Wild for a bit then?
yeah, that's true.
Oh, that's sad because I might have played it by the time we record next month's.
But I
episode
mean,
of this.
there would have been no chance that he and I could play it at the same time. Like if we were in the same house, he'd just be hogging the Switch
Oh yeah, that's
the
true.
entire time, and I wouldn't. And then I would just have to sit and watch him play it, and then I wouldn't be as surprised when I played it on my own.
Yeah. Well, that's good times. I'm trying to think. Oh, I started
Hmm.
watching an anime actually. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I'm like 3 episodes
You didn't
in.
think to mention this when you were ripping anime a few minutes
Yeah, I
ago?
was gonna, but like I just couldn't be bothered. I'm only like 3 episodes in, so it's not really a big deal. But like I'm currently watching Parasite, and it's okay. It's fine.
Wait, what's it called?
Parasite. I think it's spelled with a Y instead of
I've
an I.
never heard of that.
It's about a dude who gets like a weird alien parasite on his hand, and his hand becomes a weird, creepy creature. And
I think that's called Spider Man.
oh no, have I been watching Spider Man this whole time? No, it's alright. It's good. I'm
Anyway,
excited to see where it goes. I'll maybe talk more about it in the future when I've actually watched more
all
of it,
right then.
and maybe you can watch it
During
too.
during the anime adventures of this segment of this show. Anyway, next month should be interesting because I'm not sure when we're going to be recording around me
Yeah.
moving across the country and putting all my stuff in boxes. So we'll see how that goes. But this was the first episode of QJ's Adventures
Yep.
of 2017. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you continue to watch. And we will be back at the beginning of next month with Cats movies for February.
Yep. Cool. Goodbye.
Cool.
Outros.
See you guys around. Thanks for joining us.
Goodbye.